At the Thanksgiving gala at the palace, Prince William, dismissed all his concubines for his beloved Sarah. Everyone else took the dollars and happily went home for reunion, but I had nowhere to go, so I found a silk rope and hung herself with a silk rope at the entrance of the West Wing. After being reborn into this world, I had worked hard to seduce the 4 male leads for 21 years, and now the last one had failed. The system said that as long as this body died, I could go home and have a reunion with my mom and dad. Before my consciousness faded, I seemed to hear someone desperately shouting my name. The lintel of the West Wing wasn't too high. After stacking 2 laundry baskets, I finally managed to hang myself. I'm finally going home. I couldn't wait to have a reunion with my family. I kicked my feet hard, and a strong feeling of suffocation immediately came from my neck. My consciousness became more and more blurred, the lively orchestral music in the distance became smaller and smaller, and everything I had experienced in this world flashed by quickly. I was reborn into the Grand Westeros Empire 21 years ago. There were 4 targets to seduce. As long as I obtained absolute favor from one of them, I could cure my terminal illness in the original world. Each of the 4 targets was a pillar of the nation, a chosen one of heaven, but they all hated me to the core because of the female lead, wishing I were dead. Finally, the system judged that the mission had failed, and I was leaving as they wished. In a daze, I heard someone calling my name. After regaining my breath, a bucket of cold water was poured over my head, and I was. Looking up, a man in a purple eunuch's robe, formal suit of the palace staff, was twirling rosary beads, and staring at me with a gloomy expression. That face was too familiar. Before my mind had fully recovered, I blurted out his name. Ethan? As soon as I said it, I regretted it. Sure enough, the man frowned in disgust when he heard my address. Don't call my name. You're not worthy. The gloomy young man before me was the Grand Eunuch whom everyone in the Grand Westeros Empire feared, Ethan Sawyer, and also one of my targets. When his family was destroyed, I risked my life to dig him out of the pile of dead bodies, took him home, and personally treated him for more than half a year. At that time, Ethan Sawyer had just lost his family and resisted my approach like a wounded beast. I opened his heart step by step and guided him to stop harming himself. He was determined to overturn the verdict for his family, so he entered the palace incognito and climbed up step by step, finally becoming a powerful eunuch who held sway over the court. Through countless life and death tests, I had seen his most downcast side and had once been the person he trusted most. Unfortunately, that was already 4 years ago. 4 years ago, on Thanksgiving night, I married Prince William, Will. Everyone came to celebrate and offer blessings, and even the system thought my seduction was about to succeed. But the female lead of this world, Sarah Clare, left a letter and ran away. In the letter, every word was filled with tears, accusing me of tricking Sarah Clare into an abandoned church where she was defiled by beggars. She had no face to face everyone again and could only leave alone to grow old in solitude. My own brother kicked me out of the house and vowed to sever ties with me. Prince William, removed my title as princess and demoted me to a lady-in-waiting in the prince's residence. Ethan Sawyer used his position as chief of the palace staff to arrange for me to go to the West Wing, where I washed the eunuch's clothes every day. Sarah must be suffering outside. A woman with a heart as venomous as yours should atone for her sins every day. In the 4 years in the West Wing, I suffered all kinds of bullying. Even though I used all kinds of methods, no one was willing to believe in my innocence. Now that Sarah was back, Prince William, was determined to be with her for the rest of his life, and even the West Wing was no longer a place for me. So the system judged that my mission had failed, and I could only commit suicide as soon as possible to go home and live out my last days. Ethan Sawyer ordered 2 pages in green livery to hold me up on the left and right. After seeing the strangulation marks on my neck, a hint of mockery flashed in his narrow eyes. The stage hasn't even been set up yet, and you're already overacting. Want to die? You've chosen the wrong place. The West Wing is remote, and no one will watch you put on a show. I gave a bitter smile. Did he think I was pretending to seek death? Sir Ethan, since the West Wing is so remote, why are you here? Did you come specifically to see me? Ethan Sawyer's expression faltered, and he sneered, Serafina, Sarah, is back. I don't want you to disturb her happiness on this reunion day. If you want to die, die further away. Ethan Sawyer had people throw me and my satchel/bag out of the palace gate. He looked down at me as if he were looking at something dirty. Once you're out of the palace, do you think I'll still care about your life or death? I raised my head and gave him a bright smile. That was just great. I was going home. I didn't take anything and ran to the moat bridge outside the royal palace, jumping in. The water in the palace moat was icy cold. I didn't struggle and let myself sink slowly. I was going home soon. I wondered what flavors of pumpkin pie Mom and Dad had bought this year. In the darkness, someone tightly grabbed my wrist and pulled me up with brute force. Luna Claire. What madness are you up to now? I opened my eyes and saw the Grand Eunuch, who had just been calm and composed, soaked all over, coughing with a pale face, his eyes staring at me intently. Do you think you can offset the harm you've done to Serafina, Sarah, by pretending to seek death? I looked at him calmly, who was exasperated, and said lightly, then let me really die. Wouldn't it be just what you wanted if I died? As if he didn't expect me to say that, Ethan Sawyer's eyes turned red in an instant. Serafina, Sarah, just came back. I just didn't want her to be bothered by you again. Looking at the red corners of Ethan Sawyer's eyes, I suddenly remembered the past. When the Song family was first convicted, Ethan Sawyer was humiliated by the world. He was in poor health and had a lot on his mind. When he felt wronged, he would not speak, but the corners of his eyes would always turn red. Only with my comfort could he calm down. But what did he have to feel wronged about now? He was the one who had constantly instructed the eunuchs and maids to bully me for the past 4 years. It seemed that I couldn't die here. I picked up the satchel/bag on the ground and prepared to walk in the direction of hometown. Seeing me going home, Ethan Sawyer grabbed my wrist tightly and followed me step by step. You've always been cunning. If I don't keep an eye on you, who knows what madness you'll do on the way. Once I hand you over to Dr. Claire from the Royal Medical Academy, I won't care about you anymore. I paused. In this world, the person who hated me the most and wished I were dead was my brother, Clarence Clare. So when I was dismissed from the palace, I didn't even think about going back to the Clare estate for a look. Now it seemed that I would have a better chance to leave if I went back to the Clare estate. As soon as I entered the gate of the Clare estate, all the servants were busy cleaning Serafina, Sarah, Clare's room, and the yard was filled with oleander, Serafina, Sarah, Clare's favorite. Clarence Clare smiled brightly and brought out a bunny lantern. After seeing me, the smile on his face disappeared completely. You still have the face to come back? I thought you had died in the palace long ago. I stood there, suddenly remembering that my brother wasn't like this before. Clarence Clare and I had lost our mom and dad since we were young. Only we 2 siblings depended on each other for life and were each other's only family. The Clare family all possessed medical skills. Clarence Clare was determined to enter the palace and become the head of the Royal Medical Academy, so I went to the mountains to collect herbs to raise money for him to go to Capital City. One rainy day, I slipped and broke my leg while trying to pick a 1,000-year-old Ganoderma. That was the first time I saw the gentle-tempered Clarence Clare lose his temper. He lost a shoe, hugged me while crying, and said that he would rather not go to Capital City than lose me, his sister. He said that if he didn't have me, he would have no home, and everything he had would be meaningless. But after we took in Serafina, Sarah, Clare, my brother no longer had only me, his sister, in his heart. Serafina, Sarah, Clare was weak, so my brother took the pills that I had carefully refined for several years, which I had prepared to sell for money to buy Clarence Clare the things he needed to enter the palace, and fed them to her. But Serafina, Sarah, Clare secretly spit out the medicine because she was afraid of the bitterness. I saw it and just said a few words to her, and Clarence Clare blamed me for being mercenary. Luna Claire, in your eyes, Are your medicines more important than Sarah Claire's life? Later, when Sarah Claire ran away, Clarence Claire disabled my fingers and kicked me out of the Claire family tree. How can you, a vicious person, be worthy of learning the Claire family's medical skills? From now on, I no longer have you as my sister. From then on, my hands, which I had practiced hard for more than 10 years, could no longer perform acupuncture, and even washing clothes in the West Wing was slower than others, causing me to be subjected to all kinds of scorn. Ethan Sawyer looked a little strange and hesitated, saying, Sarah is back. Prince William, dismissed his concubines. She didn't seem to be able to accept it and has tried to kill herself twice in front of me. Clarence Claire frowned. Those are just the tricks of a woman who cries, makes trouble, and threatens suicide. How could a talented young man like Sir Ethan be fooled by her? I know Luna Claire best. There's no way someone like her would be willing to die. Ethan Sawyer's expression softened after hearing that, and he shook his head with a self-deprecating smile, seemingly regretting his in front of me just now. Clarence Claire pointed to the bunny lantern in his hand and looked at me contemptuously. I'm going to the palace to deliver the lantern to Sarah. I don't have time to pay attention to you. You better leave before I get back tonight. Before Clarence Claire could finish speaking, I plucked an oleander leaf from the side and put it in my mouth. Clarence Claire's expression changed instantly. Oleander leaf are poisonous, but as long as Sarah Claire liked them, Clarence Claire had ways to make them bloom in the Claire estate all year round. I was afraid that someone would accidentally eat them, so I opposed planting this poisonous flower, and Sarah Claire would cry and not eat. Sister doesn't like me, so she doesn't want brother to plant flowers for me. Clarence Claire protected Sarah Claire behind him and sneered at me repeatedly. If you're going to target Sarah, you have to find a better reason. Something so bitter, no one would accidentally eat. They would spit it out as soon as they put it in their mouth. Unexpectedly, it had now become a tool for me to leave. An intense bitter taste quickly spread in my mouth, and I forced myself to swallow it, enduring the nausea. This time, I could finally go home. Clarence Claire threw away the bunny lantern in his hand and quickly stepped forward to slap my back, his rough fingers prying open my mouth and stirring fiercely inside. Spit it out for me. Are you trying to kill yourself? I struggled desperately, half of my body was numb, and I bit down tightly, refusing to let go, biting Clarence Claire's fingers until they bled. Clarence Claire gasped and slapped me in the face. Just because Prince William, doesn't want you, you have to act like you're dying? Do you have any of the Claire family's integrity left? Sarah, and Prince William, are a match made in heaven. Haven't you figured that out in the 4 years in the West Wing? He ignored his bleeding fingers and ordered the servants to bring emetic pills and forced them down my throat. I vomited so badly that I was dizzy and fell to the ground like a lump of mud, unable to help but laugh mockingly. The Claire family's integrity is that you didn't even investigate and just decided that I harmed Sarah Claire, and then kicked your own sister out of the house? Clarence Claire turned pale and was speechless. Suddenly, the sound of rapid hoofbeats came from outside the door. A page in green livery ran in and bowed to Ethan Sawyer. Grand Eunuch. His Highness Prince William, has ordered you to bring the deposed concubine, Luna Claire, into the palace for questioning. Miss Sarah, she is missing. Ethan Sawyer and Clarence Claire exchanged a look and glared at me on the ground in unison. No wonder you've been trying to kill yourself over and over again to put on a show for us. So you were trying to cover up your crimes. Where have you hidden Sarah Claire again? What do you want to do to her? How would I know where Sarah Claire had hidden herself again, but this was the best opportunity for me to leave. They loved Sarah Claire to the core, so they might lose their minds and then kill me. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, they directly me, who was in a state, back to the royal palace. Prince William, didn't say much when he saw me and directly grabbed my chin. Where is Sarah? I raised my head and looked directly at my former husband in this world, and regret surged in my heart. When I first met Will Lancaster, who was being chased in the valley, I hid the injured him in a cave and led away the pursuers for him. At that time, Sarah Claire had just snatched my fiancé, and the young general who was my childhood sweetheart had broken off the engagement with me, making me the laughingstock of Capital City. After Will Lancaster found out, he was willing to pledge himself to me and give me the title of princess. He said that he not only wanted to repay my kindness but was also moved by me. But after Sarah Claire appeared, the light in Will Lancaster's eyes would always be involuntarily drawn to her. They watched the moon and played chess together, talking about everything, as if there was no room for my existence anymore. When Sarah Claire disappeared, Will Lancaster, who had always been considerate to me, used torture on me for the first time. When the ruler hit my lower abdomen, blood flowed all over the floor. It was then that I realized that I had lost a child who was not even a month old. Seeing that I didn't answer, a trace of murderous intent flashed in Will Lancaster's eyes. It seems that you won't open your mouth unless you taste a little suffering. Will Lancaster ordered the palace servants to bring up all kinds of torture instruments and prepare to force a confession from me. Ethan Sawyer personally carried out the punishment, while Clarence Clare fed me pills to keep me awake and amplify the pain. I started to panic. I wanted to die, but I didn't want to suffer before I died. While I was struggling desperately, the first whip had already landed on my back. The pain instantly reached my limbs and bones, and I trembled, not even having the strength to shout. Kill me. Seeing that I was unrepentant, Will Lancaster curled his lips slightly. Do you think I'll be soft-hearted? I'll ask you one more time, where is Sarah? I raised my head with a pale face and gave a smug smile. Sarah Claire, I killed her. Aren't you all the people who love her the most? Come on, kill me and avenge her. Will Lancaster's eyes turned red, and he suddenly drew his sword and stabbed it into my heart. Before my consciousness faded, I heard Sarah Claire's voice from outside the hall. Everyone's here. We can have a reunion night. Ah, why is there so much blood? Will Lancaster's sword was very sharp. Even though he had retracted his strength later, the blade still pierced more than 2 inches under my skin. Because I had taken special pills in advance, the pain I felt was even greater than that of ordinary people. Blood flowed down slowly, and I collapsed into the pool of blood. Fortunately, I just had to endure a little longer, and I would be home. The prince's residence was in chaos. Everyone surrounded me, and I felt someone using their clothes to stop the bleeding. Luna Claire, you're not allowed to close your eyes. In a daze, I seemed to see a familiar figure. He looked weather-beaten and was calling my name. Zachary Rhodes. As soon as these 2 words left my lips, countless youthful memories appeared. The Rhodes family and my family were old friends. When Clarence Clare and I first came to Capital City and settled down, we lived in the Rhodes family. At that time, Zachary Rhodes had a red-tasseled spear and wasn't afraid of anything. When he saw me, he used the spear to the ribbon that held up my hair. Seeing my hair fall down, the little tyrant blushed for the first time and stammered, "This sister seems familiar." I found it funny and tied the ribbon to his red-tasseled spear. "Young master, haven't you heard that you can't touch a girl's hair easily? If you touch it, you have to be responsible for a lifetime." Zachary Rhodes didn't speak for a long time. I thought I had embarrassed him, but I heard him say softly, "Okay. I'll be responsible." From then on, it was a story of love from afar, childhood sweethearts, and Zachary Rhodes and I naturally pledged ourselves to each other for life and made an engagement. He was also one of my targets. As long as I married him, the seduction would be successful. But as soon as Sarah Claire appeared, she stole all of Zachary Rhodes's attention. Sarah is weaker. I just treat her like a sister. Why are you so unreasonable? Serafina, Sarah, wouldn't be as unreasonable as you. Luna, how do you explain this? I've never seen a woman as jealous of her own sister as you. On the day Zachary Rhodes proposed to break off the engagement, I didn't make a fuss and silently took back the marriage certificate. Later, I got engaged to Prince William, Will, and Serafina, Sarah, Claire abandoned Zachary Rhodes and between me and Prince William, Will. Then, when Serafina, Sarah, Claire disappeared, Zachary Rhodes led troops to garrison the northern frontier. After years of separation, there was no longer a young man in my heart. Today is really a reunion night. These male leads that I've seduced have all gathered together, and even the young general who abandoned me has returned. But I don't want to deal with you anymore. Right now, I just want to go home. But when I woke up again, I found myself still lying in a side hall of the prince's residence. There was a faint taste of medicine in my mouth. Clarence Clare was actually willing to give me his treasured elixir of life. Clarence Clare had already bandaged my wounds properly. When he saw me wake up, We of the Clare family are different from others. Our hearts are slightly. If His Highness Prince William, Will, hadn't stopped in time, no one would have been able to save you. Since you don't know where Serafina, Sarah, is, why didn't you tell us clearly? Why did you have to make everyone anxious? The others had the same attitude, and their words were full of accusations against me. Serafina, Sarah, Claire hid behind Prince William, Will, and looked innocent. I just wanted to make a pumpkin pie by myself to give everyone a surprise. I didn't expect that sister wouldn't explain, and it would become my fault. I sneered, what should I say to you? What should I explain to you? That I never had anyone defile Serafina, Sarah, Claire. That I never forced Serafina, Sarah, Claire to leave. That she framed me for everything. But I've said it countless times in the past 4 years. Has anyone believed me? Everyone was stunned, and Serafina, Sarah, Claire swayed for a moment. Seeing that no one noticed her abnormality, she quickly regained her composure and shook her head innocently. No, I didn't. Will, Lancaster hugged Serafina, Sarah, Claire, distressed, and wiped away the faint tear marks on her face. Sarah, don't cry. We all know your character. Clarence Clare also stayed by Serafina, Sarah, Claire's side, desperately trying to make her laugh. Sarah, don't cry. I'll accompany you to enjoy the Harvest Festival celebration later. My sister is even more beautiful than the moon goddess. Surrounded by everyone, Serafina, Sarah, Claire went from tears to laughter. When she looked at me again, there was some smugness and provocation on her face. I scoffed, see? What I say 1,000 words is no match for the female lead's few tears. You still want me to say something? No one will believe what I say. Zachary Rhodes suddenly spoke softly, but his tone was firm. I believe you, Luna. I'll take you home. You can live with me from now on. Everyone was shocked, but I caught the words in his sentence. Take me? Without a matchmaker or betrothal gifts, what am I if you take me? Are you marrying me as your wife? Zachary Rhodes's tone was a little flustered. He looked at Serafina, Sarah, Claire, as if he wanted to explain something desperately. I said that I wouldn't marry for the rest of my life. Besides, you're a deposed concubine and can't be my wife. Do you still care about titles and false names now? As long as you have a place to belong, you won't disturb Serafina, Sarah, Claire's happiness anymore. I was stunned when I heard this. Zachary Rhodes was willing to accept me as a concubine, but it was still for the sake of the female lead. His deep affection only disgusted me. Before I could refuse, Will, Lancaster spoke first. No way. Serafina, Sarah, Claire's face was ugly, but the prince couldn't bother to coax her. Since Luna Claire has tried to kill herself for me several times, she should stay in the prince's residence. Be quiet. Sarah will soon become the princess. She's always been generous and won't hold it against her. Serafina, Sarah, Claire's face was full of, clearly feeling wronged. Claire spoke up when he saw this. Why not let her go back to the Clare estate with me? But Will Lancaster insisted. You can't keep an eye on Luna Clare. She said that she had broken off all affection for Zachary Rhodes. You, her brother, she has never thought about in these 4 years. She's at least safe in the West Wing. Once she's released, she'll keep causing trouble. I think it's better to keep her in the palace and have Ethan personally watch over her. That's the best thing for Sarah. When it was mentioned that it was for Serafina, Sarah, Clare, Zachary Rhodes, and the others couldn't say anything against it. The sorrow on Serafina, Sarah, Clare's face disappeared, and the others all breathed a sigh of relief. The clouds in the sky dispersed, revealing a full moon. Tonight was for Harvest Festival celebration. The banquet that had been suspended due to Serafina, Sarah, Clare's disappearance continued, and everyone ate the pumpkin pie made by Serafina, Sarah, Clare, revealing a happy smile. They thought they had seen through my disguise and had finally protected their female lead. My status prevented me from appearing at the banquet, so Ethan Sawyer escorted me back to my residence. For some reason, his attitude towards me seemed to have softened a lot. You don't need to use death to threaten us anymore. Even if the prince doesn't want you, you can live better than most people in this palace. As long as you don't cause trouble for Serafina, Sarah, anymore, I'll take care of you too. I looked at the full moon in the sky and murmured, I want to go hometown. Ethan Sawyer's tone was gentle. Go back to the Clare estate. Then I'll talk to His Highness again. Sarah will be in the palace from now on, so it's appropriate for you to go back to the Clare estate. I tugged at his sleeve, with a pleading look on my face. I want to go back to your hometown with you. Go tell him now. My wound hurts and I can't move. I'll wait for you here. I seem to have never spoken to Ethan Sawyer in such a soft tone before. In the past, I was a strong big sister to him, a savior who saved him from fire and water. Seeing me looking at him with bright eyes, Ethan Sawyer was almost sluggish. In the past, he had also regarded me as his only family. At that time, his house was decorated according to my preferences. Okay, let a small eunuch stay here with you. I'll be back soon. Watching Ethan Sawyer's hurried back, I curled my lips slightly. When Ethan Sawyer brought Will Lancaster and the others over from afar, I had already sent the small eunuch away and was sitting on the edge of the well. Even the moon at the bottom of the well was round. In this world, it seemed that only I was imperfect. I'm going back to my real hometown. That's where I have family who will wait for me unconditionally. I stretched both legs into the well. Everyone's faces changed drastically when they saw my actions. They ran towards me. I didn't hesitate at all and quickly jumped into the well with the stone in my arms. I felt like I slept for a long time, and in my dreams, I saw my mom and dad's concerned, tearful eyes. Baby, don't be afraid. You'll get better. Mom and Dad will sell everything to cure you. That's why I agreed to enter the mission world without hesitation when the system approached me. The system froze my time in the original world. When I left, it was also around Thanksgiving. My mom said that she would bring my favorite pumpkin pie home. In my dream, I completed the mission, but when I returned home, I couldn't see my mom and dad anymore. I searched every corner of the room, but I couldn't find them anywhere. Mom! Dad! I woke up crying, and in front of me was Clare's face, which looked 8 tenths like mine. When he saw me wake up, he didn't but hesitated and said, Did you dream about Mom and Dad? Have you forgotten their last words? They told us to live well. Are you trying to die so that Mom and Dad can't rest in peace? Listen to your brother. Be good. I shouted angrily, You're not my brother at all. I'm an only child. I don't have a brother. You're just in a mission world. I want to leave, I want to go back to my own world. Clare smiled bitterly with a pale face. So Sarah was right. You've really gone mad. I was tired of everything here. I propped myself up and hit my head against the bed. I want to die, I want to leave. Claire forced a pill down my throat, and I immediately collapsed, my body, unable to speak. Our bodies and hair are given to us by our mom and dad. I can't watch you go crazy like this. After taking this sleeping pills/tranquilizer, you'll still retain your 5 senses, but you won't be able to move or speak. Come back when you've changed for the better. As long as you're willing to change, you'll still be my sister. I glared at Claire, wondering where he wanted to send me. Claire opened the door, and Serafina, Sarah, Claire, William, Will, Lancaster, Ethan Sawyer, and Zachary Rhodes were all there. Sarah built a convent of serenity in these 4 years. It's the best place to cultivate one's mind and heart. Even the most person can be reborn after going there. Don't worry, death can't offset your sins. You should be punished for doing wrong. Will, Lancaster's voice was full of helplessness. I wanted to shake my head, but I couldn't turn my neck anymore. Zachary Rhodes stepped forward and picked me up in his arms. Luna, you're still as thin as you were when you were little. Don't think about those conspiracies and tricks when you go to the Convent of Serenity. Eat more and get fat. I can still carry you even if you're fat. My stomach was churning, and I wanted to vomit, but I couldn't control my muscles. Ethan Sawyer leaned against the door, looking at me with red eyes. Sister Luna, you've lied to me again. I'll forgive you this time, but you can't be like before when you come back. I stared angrily, but I couldn't say a word. Claire smiled sweetly, her eyes curved. Okay, I believe sister will understand our good intentions. Men are not allowed in the Convent of Serenity. Zachary Rhodes, you can just put sister on the carriage. I'll personally send sister over. I was put on the carriage and bounced all the way. After the car stopped, Claire lifted the curtain, and behind her stood several burly men. Sister, believe me, you'll like this Convent of Serenity. I was rudely carried up the mountain by several big men, and the wounds on my body that had just healed tore open again, staining my clothes red. Claire smiled coldly and ordered, the Convent of Serenity is a quiet place. You're too dirty. Give her a good wash. I was thrown into a mud puddle to wash away the blood on my body, and the dirty water my whole body was in fiery pain. I couldn't move and could only let countless dirty hands roam over my body. Everyone on the shore was laughing at me. This was no Convent of Serenity, it was Claire's den of thieves. I was laid out like a dead fish before Claire, and I wanted to ask her why she was doing this to me. But Claire spoke before I could. Look at you. This is the ending a female supporting character deserves. Don't be surprised. I'm a player too, and I'm the heroine of this world. Why should a supporting character like you dare to steal my male lead? So that was it. Now, I almost wished Claire hated me enough to kill me. I was done with this game. I was done with the mission. I just wanted to go home. Claire seemed to guess my thoughts and sneered. Want to die? I won't let you have your way. If you stay here for a year after failing the mission, your original body will never wake up again. And I'll get your completing the mission successfully. Don't blame me, it's just that the male leads in this mission world are too difficult to conquer. They all seem to love me to the core, but they never reach the absolute level of affection, and it's all because you exist. Once I steal your data, I'll definitely succeed. Every day in the Convent of Serenity, I suffered humiliation and abuse. There wasn't a single patch of good skin left on my body that could be covered by clothes, but I was like a cripple, unable to end my own life. I desperately begged the system in my heart to help me escape, but I was told that according to the rules, only suicide could allow me to leave the world, and the system was powerless. I asked the system if there was no punishment for Claire, as a player, harming another player like me. The system said vaguely, players in mission worlds can kill each other as long as they don't harm the target. If you're killed before being judged as a failure, your original body will also die. I could only continue to endure the torment until one day, someone in the convent of Serenity wanted to increase my suffering and brought some poisonous insects from the mountains to bite me. Knowing medicine, I immediately recognized that this was one of the antidotes to Clarence Clare's sleeping pills/tranquilizer. Although it had some side effects, it was my best choice at the moment. I pretended to be scared and lay on the ground, letting the poisonous insects crawl over my body. A stinging pain came from my thigh, and my fingers began to bend slightly. Fighting poison with poison, I gradually regained some sensation. On the 9th day of the 9th lunar month, Will Lancaster brought Ethan Sawyer, Grand Eunuch, Clarence Clare, and Zack Rhodes up the mountain to wait for Sarah Clare at the convent of Serenity Gate to enjoy the autumn scenery together. I don't know who mentioned me first, but they suggested seeing me. Sarah Clare quickly ordered people to change me into clean clothes, comb my hair into a simple bun, and place me on a sedan chair, which was carried out by several burly women. Seeing that I was unharmed, they were relieved and prepared to leave. I used all my strength and opened my mouth slightly. "Help me." The men were stunned and turned to look at me. Sarah Clare's face turned pale instantly. Clarence Clare was a little dazed. The medication wasn't enough? He touched his sleeve and realized that he hadn't brought any medicine with him, so he could only step forward and touch my head. "Luna Clare, Sarah is doing this for your own good. Be a good girl and stay here. I'll bring you the medicine after I make it at home." I trembled and reached out to grab Clarence Clare's sleeve. Sarah Clare stepped forward with a smile to stop me, ordering people to carry me back quickly. I wanted to beg for help, but I couldn't say too much. In desperation, tears streamed down my face. "Wait a minute." Will Lancaster waved his hand, walked towards me leisurely, and wiped away my tears with his little finger. "Why are you crying? It's a good thing that Sarah is willing to forgive you. Once you stop trying to kill yourself, I'll naturally tell them to let you go." After speaking, they prepared to leave. I struggled and pulled up my sleeve, revealing the wounds on my body. The rough maids quickly blocked my figure, wrapping me up tightly. Ethan Sawyer, Grand Eunuch, suddenly had a flash of inspiration and looked back. With just one glance, he cried out in surprise. "Wait, look! How can there be men in this convent of Serenity?" Sarah Clare pretended to be calm and said, "Ethan, you must be seeing things. The maids here are all chosen for their sturdy build, so they may look a bit like men." Although Ethan Sawyer, Grand Eunuch, still had doubts, he always unconditionally believed Sarah Clare's words. Sarah Clare suggested sending me back herself, asking the male leads to wait outside. Once inside the convent of Serenity, Sarah Clare dismissed the servants and pinched my chin hard, bringing her face close to mine. "You want to beg for help, huh? Forget it. Do you think they don't know you're suffering? No one cares." I curled my lips slightly, reaching out to touch Sarah Clare's lips. Her lips quickly turned purple and black. I wasn't trying to ask the male leads for help, I was trying to anger Sarah Clare. I had applied the venom of the poisonous insects to my hand beforehand, and I had just rubbed oleander pollen from Clarence Clare's sleeve. The combination was deadly to the touch. And the sleeping pills/tranquilizer in my body could neutralize the poison. Sarah Clare realized something was wrong and wanted to escape to find Clarence Clare to save her. I grabbed her leg from behind, holding on tight. There was a commotion in the room, but the servants outside thought Sarah Clare was just teaching me a lesson as before, so they naturally wouldn't come in to check. Sarah Clare breathed her last in front of me. I licked the poison and pollen from my hand, briefly regaining some strength. The people outside had been waiting too long and had realized something was wrong. I heard Zack Rhodes burst in, grabbing a man and shouting, "Where are Sarah Clare and Luna Clare? Why are there men in the convent of Serenity?" A timid servant confessed on the spot, saying that Sarah Claire had been frolicking with them for the past 4 years. Sarah Claire's humiliation was fake, her humiliation of me was real. This convent of serenity was the ultimate prison she had built specifically for me. Outside came the sounds of men breaking down, the sounds of killing, and the sounds of strong men crying for help and running away. Even the women guarding the door fled for their lives when they heard the commotion. I took the opportunity to open the door and slipped out through the back door of the convent of serenity. Behind it was a cliff, and this time, no one could stop me. I was about to jump when someone suddenly called my name from behind. Luna Claire. No. William, Will, Lancaster, Ethan Sawyer, Grand Eunuch, Clarence Clare, and Zach Rhodes, the men I had once tried so hard to conquer, stood in a row, begging me not to jump. Luna Claire, we know everything. We've killed those bad people. Don't go, come back to the royal palace with me. Will, Lancaster pleaded bitterly. No, my sister has nothing to do with you anymore. She'll come back to the Clare estate with me. We're leaving Capital City and going to Mom and Dad's hometown, never to return. Clarence Clare was weeping, completely disregarding the etiquette between ruler and subject. Ethan Sawyer, Grand Eunuch, knelt down, his eyes red, and begged me, Luna, are you really willing to abandon Ethan? Zach Rhodes reached out his hand to me. Luna, since I was young, I've longed to marry you one day. Come with me, and we'll go to the northern frontier. I smiled coldly. What about Sarah Claire? You probably didn't see it, but I killed Sarah Claire. Aren't you going to hate me and avenge her? Everyone shook their heads. We didn't expect her to be so malicious. Luna, come back, and let us make it up to you. I waved my hand with a smile. No need. I want to go home and eat pumpkin pie. Goodbye. After saying that, I jumped off the cliff, and behind me were 4 heart-wrenching cries. The system voice sounded in my mind, congratulations, host, on completing the and obtaining the absolute affection value of the 4. In addition to the reward of a complete cure for your terminal illness, you will receive an additional $10 billion bonus. I asked the system if I could use the bonus to erase all my memories of the mission world. After all, sometimes remembering is a long-lasting punishment. The system said that he felt very guilty that I had suffered so much and that this could be done without spending the bonus. In the last few minutes before my memories were erased, I quickly watched the endings of the 4 male leads. After I jumped, Will Lancaster smiled bitterly. My life was originally given to me by you. Then he jumped after me. Clarence Clare ran to the bottom of the cliff to collect my body, but he couldn't find it. Luna, don't be afraid. Your brother will stay here with you. Then he vomited blood and died. Ethan Sawyer, Grand Eunuch, returned to the royal palace and burned everyone who had bullied me to death in a fire, including himself. And Zach Rhodes married my memorial tablet and was found dead in the bridal chamber on the 2nd day of the wedding. After watching the ending, the system told me that everything was ready. I nodded and then woke up at home. Mom told me in surprise that the hospital had called and said that my terminal illness had been completely cured. Dad also excitedly told me, honey, we've won several lotteries, totaling $10 billion. I looked at the calendar